Asian stock exchanges. If you are following our news on social media and our website and all our announcements, you will know that FAIRS has new members. And I am very happy to have today with me Mr. Chris Richardson, who is our new member, but he is also our old friend of FAIRS. With the company of Percival, who is a software company, and I am very glad to have you today, Chris.
Thank you, Armin. Thank you. Really, it's great
So
to be here.
let's start with congratulations of becoming a member of FAIRS, both to you and mostly to us also, because we love that new members are joining us. And very first question, what are your expectations of joining the Federation?
Well, golly, the connections are several. Let me try and unpack it all. First of all, it's a very interesting region. As you know, our relationship to the stock exchange in Armenia goes back quite a long time. We were introduced, first of all, via our mutual contacts at NASDAQ. And I remember talking to Karen, and I can't remember his position in the stock exchange or the depository at that time.
CEO at that
Deputy
time.
CEO. Okay, fine. But they were looking for a new central depository solution, and NASDAQ put them in contact with us. NASDAQ also had a shared interest in the Armenian Stock Exchange. So one thing led to another, and eventually we won the project to supply the CSD there, set up a new CSD, and we used our solution for that, Depend. Similarly, there have been quite a few conferences held in the region, some of them taking place actually in Yerevan itself, and we've tried to attend those wherever we can. So it's an interesting region. We would like to do more business there than we've been able to so far. And parallel to this, also, Percival have branched out from just supplying CSD solutions. We went live with our first trading platform, new trading platform, which we call Revenue. Emphasis on the venue part, because it's actually a multi-venue trading platform. We went live with that in Barbados in the Caribbean last September. We're quite proud of that. That's already fully integrated with our CSD product, CSD solution, Depend. So the FAIRS now becomes, it's not just related interest, because many stock exchanges also own the CSD, so the ownership structure is silo model, basically. So the stock exchange actually owns the CSD, which is 100% owned subsidiary of the stock exchange. But also our interest is naturally stock exchanges now as well, because we have a trading platform. So our expectations are a deepening of the relationship between Percival and the exploration of new marketing and project opportunities in the region that FAIRS covers. That's enough.
Also,
any opportunity to visit Yerevan and see, colleagues and friends from that association from past, like yourself, like Constantine, who is still involved with FAIRS, even though he's not with the stock exchange anymore. So I have friends, locally friends at the central bank and at the stock exchange as well. So yeah.
So yeah, this is what FAIRS is about. It's also the connections, both personal friendship and also business, and a lot of opportunities within this region. So again, I am very happy to have Percival with FAIRS. And you mentioned several interesting things like stock exchange software, depository software, something about Barbados. I know about this, but will you please tell us a bit more about Percival, how it started, details, a bit detailed.
So human details. So my full name is Christopher Percival Richardson. So the name of the company comes from my middle name. I got teased about it at school. So in an English-based culture, Percival is kind of one of those very weird, old-fashioned names. So I thought when I grew up, I matured. I went through all my university and came to setting up my own business centered around actually not CSDs. In those days it was 1986, so there weren't any CSDs yet really in that time. But anyway, I needed a name for the company, so I used my middle name. I thought I might as well make it work for me rather than be an object that was used to tease me like it was at school. Anyway, so that's where the name of the company comes from. And our first focus was actually systems for share registration, basically keeping the share book of a company, share registration systems. And we got our first client actually in Trinidad, which was also the Caribbean. And gosh, that early system went into more than 50 different sites internationally. And it over the times, up until the time it was decommissioned. But somewhere along the line, actually in 1990, we won our first CSD project, which was Malta Stock Exchange, who remain a customer to this day. Huh? And in those days, the whole concept of a book entry settlement system and central security depository was relatively new. So it first figured in the G30 recommendations, the very first ones that were published in 1989. Basically, it was said from on high, thou shalt have a CSD with dematerialized or immobilized securities held in book entry form. And that started, a growing trend for capital markets around the world to implement CSDs. And if you already have a share registration system, it's a very short step to becoming to having a CSD solution. What's missing from a share registration system is essentially settlement, trade capture and settlement. And settlement discipline in 1989, 1990 is not like it was, like it is today. In those days, it was very simplistic. There was no raft of international regulations and restrictions and things you could do. There was no AML, no know your client. There was corporate action processing, but there was no international standards for that. It was 15022, but 15022 standards, again, even in those days, lacked the, for example, it lacked the corporate action notification message types and so on. So the world was a much simpler place technically for capital markets in those days. So it's a really short step for us to move from share registration, issue share book processing into CSD solution. So we did some customizations, not too many, and ended up with a fully functional CSD system and a very successful project in Malta. And the next project after that was in Estonia. So again, that was in 1990 with Malta, and then in 94, roughly middle of the year, so May, we signed the contract for computerizing the Estonian CSD, and that was a greenfield site. There wasn't even a proper functioning stock exchange in those days. So again, that was a super wonderful project, accomplished in record time, 6 months. I don't think any other vendor since then, before then or since then, has managed to implement a CSD from nothing to go live in 6 months. So we're quite proud of that. And since then, it's been basically organic growth where we are. It's like 4 generations of product later, currently fully scalable end-tier architecture system, T2S compatible, CSDR compliant, GDPR compliant, capable of operating to the highest standards within one of the most demanding environments around the world, which is the EU. The EU, we love our regulation. So it's been a slow growth, but I can tell you, if I was leaving university today or leaving, setting out on my own to start a business, it would be close to impossible. Actually, no, honestly, it would be impossible for me to say, oh, I like CSDs and that business. I'm really interested. I'm going to start. I want to become a CSD, software vendor. That's impossible. You needed to have gone through the history. So I don't, new entrants to the CSD marketplace, they end up throwing money into a pit and then failing. So we were lucky because it was step by step for us, and
Yeah,
all
I
of our
like this.
experience, everything was acquired over a long, slow period of time.
Yeah, but this is interesting, and I like this, that organic growth brought the Percival to the point that it is now.
Yep.
And based on this, so how do you see long-term vision? So you passed through all the steps of setting up the CSDs, like software. How do you see the future vision, like long-term?
Oh, there are two aspects of it. I mean, there are two separate courses being run now or played out now in the world. And one would be technology. So, but that's been a constant since the time even before when I was at school, the world has been going through rapid technological advance, and that means an advance in programming platforms and databases and communications. I mean, when we wrote our own system, actually, when that CSD system went live in Malta, and the one that went live in the very first one, written in COBOL, by the way, went live in Estonia. That was in '94. There was no internet in those days, so I can't overstate the impact of technology on the developments and the regulations that have been formulated since that time. And technology will continue to drive developments in not just capital markets, in pretty well everything that comes under the realms of human endeavor. I think that will continue apace, that nothing is going to change there. So that's one aspect of it. The other aspect of it is a little bit more human, and it's the regulations that govern it, and it's the new methods of interacting that people are trying to bring into the world. And that's having a little bit of a rougher reception. I mean, the proponents of digital platforms, for example, tokenization, want to bring into being what they call a more democratized capital market, where individuals can trade without intermediaries, and it brings into question a lot of the traditional stock exchanges and regulations that govern capital markets that developed over centuries. A couple of centuries of running that experiment, if not more, and the results are not always good. I mean, peer-to-peer unrestricted transfer of assets across the world globally without borders or restrictions is a criminal's charter. So there is a very keenly fought cultural war in that space at the moment, and we're keeping our eyes on it. Our perspective from Percival is that we don't want to restrict our customers. So far, there are no use cases for distributed ledger technology, in other words, blockchain, to be brought to bear on CSDs. So every proponent saying, oh, we want truth instead of trust. But in actual fact, CSDs are already trusted organizations, and distributed ledger technology does not solve any problems that CSDs have today. When it does, we're happy to update our product. If it's, I think the approach that Percival have taken so far in that arena is to commit to making our system interoperable with any particular digital exchange that any of our customers wants to do. But so far, there isn't a standard. Every new fiat currency or form of tokenization is new. It's got a different API. It's not centralized. So, it's a mess in terms of standards. When they sort that out, we'll develop accordingly, and we're willing to help or talk with any customer along the way to achieve that. Sorry,
Well, okay.
have I rambled on a little bit too
No,
long?
no, no. But this is interesting, and this brought an idea that we need within FAIRs or openly, we need a debate about these
Yeah,
technologies, DLTs, and whether
yeah,
they are they are managing the issues that they should or no. Just this is a fancy thing, but this is a good thing to write here and to have
yeah,
another debate
yeah,
out of the FAIRs talks. But I
yeah,
will come to the exchange stock exchange software very shortly.
yeah,
But
yeah.
as we mentioned that you mentioned the like long-term vision.
Mm.
Now in CSDs in this
Uh,
software or
actually,
in the
Actually, I didn't mention our long-term vision. So
okay.
at the moment, we've got the CSD solution. We've just released a trading platform.
Mhm.
Um, what we're looking at probably in the not too distant future is to um, develop a more functional and a more widely scoped investor portal, shareholder portal. We have one at the moment,
Mhm.
but I think it could do with considerable extension. So we're looking at cooperating with an external company to do that for us at the moment. We're also thinking about CCP. It seems to be the latest technical or legendary capital market accessory that all stock exchanges, oh, we must have a CCP. They don't really need a CCP.
Mhm. Mhm.
It's just a misinterpretation of the standards, which say that a CCP is strongly recommended for over-the-counter traded options or derivatives. And no one reads the last part of that sentence, but there's no risk in a spot market. In other words, if you're trading cash, equities, or fixed income, there's no risk in the trade, because if a trade fails, the buyer still has his money and the seller still has his securities. So what is traditionally regarded as risk isn't present. But with a derivative, where you
Mhm.
have a contract over time that can escalate if the price moves in a way that you don't expect, then yeah, you can lose your shirt over that. So that's a huge quantity of risk, and CCPs definitely play their role there. But most emerging markets don't really need one. But
Yeah.
we would like to fill every spot or most of the sensible spots in the entire value chain. I think a CCP would be next on our list.
Okay. And what is the like the current aim of this year? What are the plans of the current year?
Uh, we want to um, basically improve and do a little bit more marketing work on our trading platform. It was really successful. It's outstanding. Um, one of its unique selling points is a truly multi-venue trading platform. Currently has a browser-based UI. I don't know how long it's going to last within the product. None of the larger competitors in that space bother with using browser-based UI because it's just not fast enough for higher volumes of trading. So
Mhm.
it's an application that you have to use in order to have the higher speeds of communication. Through a website is not fast enough. So we'll probably be developing a fixed gateway to improve
Mhm.
connectivity and an actual application as a trading client. But
But you mentioned Barbados also. Can you
yes,
like a bit eliminate on
well, that's where I was born, of course.
that? Mhm.
So I have a special place in my heart for my homeland. But they had the confidence in us. I don't know if that has anything to do
Okay.
with the fact that I'm also a Barbadian, but they had the confidence in us to let us bid and win a contract to provide a trading platform for them as a development bid, and not because it's really hard to market a trading system if you don't have any customers.
Mhm.
Stock exchanges don't have well, they're risk averse, as you would be. It's a strategically important national system. So the risk of failure of a development project is significantly higher than buying an existing solution that's already live at one or more sites. So they put a lot of faith in us, and quite frankly, we knocked it out of the park. The product is really nice. we brought to bear the sort of experience that we've put into our CSD solution, which is so configurable. It's like off the scale. So everything is basically configurable online at runtime. So the user of our CSD solution is empowered. There's a significant amount of independence there from us as a software vendor. Our business model is not to make money from our customers through change requests. That's really short term and not in the interest of the customer. We would rather develop a framework where there is as little as business logic as humanly possible in our solution, and that all of the rules are configurable online. And we brought that same approach, which already exists at the DNA level in our CSD solution. We brought that to bear in the architecture and design of our trading platform, and we were very successful indeed.
Great. So I wish you luck
Thank
in
you.
this competition of the tech world within the other
The tech wars, yeah.
But I hope you will have your success and your niche, your special niche there. So, but like now, hearing you are like broadening your services and products. And my question is, how are you keeping the creativity in all this? And in addition to this, the uncertain times that we live, how you are doing this?
Well, I'll tell you something that no prospect likes to hear, is that there are 16 people in our company, Armin. 16. And with those 16 people, we are punching well above our weight. So we've got big names. I mean, the Baltic countries are using our CSD solution. They joined. I mean, I'm not allowed through contract to use the N word here, huh? But you know who owns and operates the Baltic countries, huh? And that includes Iceland. This is also part of the picture. So they run all of those 4 countries from a single integrated platform using our Depend solution. Huh? So we are well beyond any of our competitors in the sort of markets that we support. Look at it this way. One of the Baltic countries is Estonia. And that particular organization decided to go all in, what's called all in, when they joined T2S, which means that every single investor level account, every account in the CSD is represented in T2S. That's called the all in approach. They're the only CSD to do that. Okay, so it means all of the other CSDs in the EU who are T2S members are omnibus accounts. In an omnibus account market, it means that you basically only got a handful of accounts per participant. So any particular country, any particular CSD might be operating only, couple of 100 accounts in total. Now the transaction volume is still as high because the transaction volume matches the activity on the stock exchange that they're connected to. But in terms of number of accounts, they only have a few, which means that the Depend solution is handling more accounts in T2S than all other vendors put together by a wide margin. We thought that we would be knocked off our perch when the Finns joined, because they took years, I think, that went really over time to implement their system, which I believe was from TCS, Tata Consulting Services. But in the end, their decision to join T2S, they also went for a layered model. So it was only, even though the Finnish CSD is investor level, beneficial owner level accounts, like the Armenian one, for example, those are summarized and aggregated so that in their interactions with T2S, only the conglomerated totals are represented or emulated. So as if they were an omnibus level CSD in their relation to T2S. It's called layering. Mm-hmm. So they use a layered model, so fewer accounts again.
Yeah, I know Depend very closely, and now I can feel that everything you are telling now. I felt that during my previous position when I was at the stock exchange and working also with depository. I felt all about dependent.
We didn't actually interact so much. It was, our Percival's contacts were more the technical guys.
But
do you
yes,
still
I
have
know.
contact with those guys at the stock exchange and the CSD?
I knew the product because I was like dealing the other products which are being built on the services that Depend is providing.
Yeah,
That's why I was
and you guys did all of that yourselves. That's the sort of independence from the vendor, the software vendor, Percival, that I'm talking about. So our framework product enabled you to do that.
Yes, and I am really happy that I had that experience with your software.
Thank you.
And it seems like it was like a very interesting part of my life. But let's be back to fast talks.
Creativity. So how do I do it?
How do you do it?
I can only answer that not in a formal way, but in a more human way, in the sense that the things that are important to creative people are agency and ownership. So that they need to feel a creative person needs agency. No creative person likes to be managed by someone who doesn't understand them or appreciate their work. So you give them a place to stand and invest emotionally in what it is that they're developing, and they will move mountains for you. And all of us are like that. So the internal culture within Percival is we're like a small family. We know each other well. We go to each other's birthdays. We hang out together. But that's been kind of suppressed a little bit during the pandemic times, COVID times. But we, beyond colleagues, we're friends outside of work as well. So that's the first aspect of it. The second aspect of it is that we're all lifers, in the sense that our guys are not going anywhere because of that commitment to the product and the company. You genuinely feel part of a team, not just we pay your salary, but emotionally you're committed to it. So people are not looking to leave or looking to see if they can get a better pay or a more interesting job elsewhere, because there's plenty of interesting things to do in CSD and trading platform development. So there's no lack of that. And development and the environment just supports them. So there's that agency. And secondly, my personal view is that parents make better employees and they manage their time a lot better. So younger people tend not to work out here. We have a couple of young bloods already in the company, but they're exceptions to the rule. And generally they're not in their 20s, or either their late 20s or early 30s. And if they're not already a parent, then they're in a committed relationship and they have more experience. So that really counts a lot towards your attitude to work and life. And it's just different. We love our products. We're committed to the best interests of our customers always. And we've pushed that internally within Percival as well. And that's part of not trying to make money from our customers through change requests. It's not even from a software vendor's perspective, that's not the kind of work you want. It's thankless, it's hurried. So if we think our customer has a bad idea, we will tell them, we will work with them, we'll take their money off of them if they really insist on doing it, but it's not the kind of work you want. We genuinely are interested in cooperative work with our customers to try and improve their business processes and implement better methods and structures in our framework that is our CSD solution, our trading platform. So, and I can't honestly tell you or confirm that, yes, that's the reason for our success. But if I had to pick on something, I feel that has more than anything else to do with it, more than anything else.
I got your point. And I had another question, how to stay human in digital way, but you already answered to that. And I understood that, in any case, we are, so you mentioned two things.
I can tell you what I personally do, apart from my sport. I like to play sport a lot. So I'll be 65 this year, but I'm still on the squash court 3 times a week. So I try and keep fit. I have a life outside work. My wife says that Friday evening and Monday morning, you belong to the family. Don't even imagine that you're bringing anything home to work on. So yes, there are very unusual exceptions where one has to work out of hours, but in the evenings during the week, when I leave work, I need to leave that behind. And that's really important. And I bake. Personally, I bake. My grandmother raised a family of 8 children on the proceeds from baking. So about a year ago, I said, I'll try out some of our recipes. And yeah, well, I bake cookies and cakes and interesting desserts and stuff like that. So, and I love to cook. And it's something I can share with my wife as well. So sometimes I'm the sous chef and sometimes she is. And we like to do interesting things in the kitchen.
Chris, this interview, this fast talk is like a bit different like the others, because it was like our conversation. It is a bit more human, like more than about business, and I like it. Yeah. And thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thanks for joining me today.
You're welcome.
And I hope that Percival and you will be integrated into FAS family very quickly, and hope to see you soon. Thanks for joining me.
Well, you're very, very welcome. I hope now that the COVID restrictions are retreating into the far distance, that I have an opportunity to visit Yerevan, my old friends at the CSD and the stock exchange there, and of course, FAS. I shall look forward to it.
Thank you. And for the ones who are following us, after this interview, we will start our week about Percival. So this is a campaign that FAS is doing for new members. We have other new members as well. So stay tuned to know about our members and about Percival after this interview. Thank you very much.
Arminier, thank you very much. It's been a great talking to you. Hope we meet again soon in person.